Hello, so back for a little bit of an after-action report after playing through the first scenario, which is from the Hobbit Saga expansion, Overhill and Underhill. I just wanted to talk through some of the cards that you get in the thing, so spoiler warning if you've not played it before, but maybe you can help me out with some tips and tricks in the comments down below. So, I did complete it, but not without double-handing it with both, well, basically all the spheres, effectively, as if it was being done two-player. So the Unexpected Party is the one where you set aside the sack and trolls and stuff, as we've seen previously. But the real meat, of the scenario comes in the roast mutton bit, where you take the trolls we were just looking at and you put them into the game. And it all comes to an end with Dawn Take You All. However, I just wanted to go through these because they are pretty nasty. So each of the trolls, so you've got Tom, Bert, and William, they all have an ability at the top, which basically hampers everybody at the tabletop. So players cannot put attachment cards on trolls, that's fine enough. Troll enemies cannot, not engage with the player, cannot take damage, also fair enough. And then Tom, troll enemies can only be attacked by one character at a time. Now that is the kicker. And getting rid of him second is real hard, because Bert takes a lot of damage to take out anyway. But yeah, so you've got some good options there. Well, some nasty options when it comes to them. And then obviously as they go through, they do sack, and then a double sack at the end as well. And each of them also has this ability where they go back to the staging area to continue adding threat and stopping your questing. But if you pay one, you can cancel the effect. So it's really interesting seeing how you work them into the deck. And they are pretty hard to kill as well. Their 5 attack means that they're probably going to kill any of your heroes if they come up next to them. So you're going to need to have a lot of allies for them to chew through if they get in combat with you. Their 3 threat is also no joke. And their 2 defense can be a little bit of a kicker as well. They also come with the troll cave, which you can see here, which is what you need in order to get the treasures, which we'll talk about later. But you need to kind of work towards this. So you've got to try and find the key and the purse throughout the mission. So you've got that to deal with as well. These are the sack cards. They are all nasty as hell. They attach to a character with a whole range of different things. So it might be most attachments, attached to an ally, the highest printed quest cost, defense, etc., attack, and the like. They are all very nasty indeed. And they can really hamper your game. Then the cards you actually get in the thing, they're not too bad. So this is pretty bad because it's going to be putting cards back into your deck, which you're trying to run through in section 2 of the quest. This is one of the items, so you can see those there. Again, you got more of those. Obviously, this, remember, is the easy version of this, so it was even quite hard, even on easy. This can be horrible to your allies, especially if you've got lots of low health ones. It can absolutely crush you. This isn't too bad, although it's really nasty when it gets rid of Cram. Dreary Hills. These are horrific. So the Suspicious Crows reveal the top card of the encounter discard pile added to the staging area. That can mean that you get all manner of nasty things coming in that we've previously seen before. And because it says reveal the top card of the encounter discard pile, that means it's going to trigger all those effects again, which is just horrible. So you can see what's coming, but it's just horrible. This is great. You can get a couple of these early on just to draw some cards. It's very nice indeed. The Troll Camp is kind of like a double-edged sword in some ways. So when it's in the staging area, things get nasty. If you can move it to the location portion, so you're traveling there, and you just utilize this ability here, you can really kind of cut down on the sack effects that you get. It's also pretty good that Bilbo can do this even though there's a sack card on him. So if you manage to store up a bunch of pipe resources, which you may have already done actually, because there's not a lot for him to really spend it on, this can be a really good location to find. It might not seem it because of this extra threat that it generates, but it's very, very good if you can get it right. This can be a pain, but not too bad. So the sort of basic easy deck for this is no real pushover. Like, I mean, there's not a lot of cards in here, but because it shuffles things in at the start of phase 2, and there's a lot of just like solidly nasty events, locations and events in here. It's a bit of a pain in the ass. Obviously, the same thing as most of the time when you're playing this game. The more players, the easier it is, because you're obviously going to be picking more cards out, and you also then have more characters that you're going to be using against it and stuff. The key is making sure that you find this location and you explore it, because if you don't complete this, you're not going to get access to the treasures. And I played this through twice before I decided to double hand it, and I actually found it quite hard. And I'll talk you through some of that as well. I mean, I'm not exactly the greatest player of the Lord of the Rings card game, but yeah, it was pretty tough. Pretty tough. And I'll talk about that a little bit now. So one of the good things about the decks that I used, before I talk about some of the negative stuff. So this one, which was the Leadership and Spirit deck. Gloin, just pretty good all-rounder. Again, they can't tank, really, which is the issue. Nori can, but you really don't want to be using him for... Like, if you can get Cram on these guys, not too bad. I mean, Thorin's obviously a very good all-rounder and great at questing and things. I tell you who is a saviour, this guy, Gandalf. If you can get Gandalf into your hand early and play him at the right time, the fact that he's just able to not exhaust during the quest phase with that 4 there, and then deal out some pretty good damage and or attack if you need him to, is very, very good. It's almost worth paying the additional cost so that you don't lose him at the right time. Cram was very good. Burglar Baggins was also good at the right time, trying to get the right questing in. I'm not sure about Spare Hood and Cloak. I think it could be good. I'm just not sure that it's... I'm not sure that it was as important as it could have been at that particular point. Obviously, things like Hasty Stroke and stuff are very good for cancelling the... Now, this is the one card that I think is incredibly important, especially if you're playing one player. If you... Because I have 2 of these, because obviously I've got the starter deck, the starter box, sorry, and this. You've got 2 of them. I think if you can tank your threat as low as possible to begin with, I think it's incredibly important. And if you can time that with picking and choosing which trolls you bring through to fight, I think it makes a massive deal. You can also use things like the Snowborn Scouts to help you get through different locations easily, which is always nice. Again, not too sure on things like the Wandering Took. There may be some better allies that you could put into play. I think if you had access to more dwarves from the Khazad Doom expansion, that would also be very good. Killian Philly, also very good. The fact that you get 2 of them for 1, effectively, is absolutely fantastic. And if you can twin that with something like a very good Tail, where you can then exhaust those 2, if you've got the time, to draw more characters into your game, then that's fantastic, obviously. Steward of Gondor, always good. Free 2 resources every turn. Perfect stuff. Sneak Attack can be good, especially if you're going to work with someone like Brock at Iron Fist. Again, not a great character. I mean, I'm not a massive fan of him as a character as a whole. Again, I think there's better dwarves out there. But from the starter deck, I mean, it's a pretty important ally for you to throw into the mix. And he can kind of replace a hero. The issue is that once you lose a hero, you're not going to get the resources on Brock. That's the issue. Test of Will, also very important. Old-Beard Axelair, big cost. Not entirely useful in this first quest, apart from just as fodder. But yeah. So, yeah, I mean, this deck works quite nicely. I'd say that it has challenges in that it doesn't have enough allies, really, to deal with a lot of situations that get thrown up in front of you. There's a lot of troll damage that you're trying to mitigate. But if you can get those Galadrim's greetings out quickly, because the starting threat on these guys is 30. So you're being engaged by one troll at the very least. If you then if you then get dragged into more fighting with another troll and or the crows, you're going to have to really decide where you throw your damage. You can obviously take crow damage undefended on Gloin, because when he suffers damage, you get to put resources in, which is not necessarily bad, but it's interesting to say the least. Not a terrible deck, but one that I think could obviously be improved with additional cards. Now, the thing that saved me when I was playing the game was playing with the Tactics and Lore deck at the same time. So I double-handed it, as I was saying. So Gimli was the biggest, baddest dwarf on the table. He got damaged so that his attack went up. I attached a Dwarven Axe to him, and he was able to munch through trolls like nobody's business. Tharlin dealt with every crow that came out. I mean, I know there's only a couple of them, but dealt with all the crows. And Ori, I mean, just a solid quester, really, and access to the lore cards, so not too bad as a whole. I didn't really use that too much. The Dwarven Axe was very good, obviously attached to a dwarf, does even more damage. And then when we to munch through some trolls, didn't see Feint pop up that much. These can be good if you can use them just to soak some damage from a troll, do some damage to them. Blade of Gondon also would be very good if you've got enough. If you can get this onto a character and actually get the progress out for killing some of the crows, I think that could be really good. Didn't really use a lot of these because I didn't really get. I kind of lost characters that were already kind of out of the equation, so they weren't necessarily too much of an issue. Again, so like Veteran Axans, that's another dwarf character, great stuff. Being able to draw the extra cards is also obviously very nice. Citadel Blake can be nice if you can get that onto Gimli, so you can take more damage and therefore, but you can take more damage and therefore do more damage. The Gandalf card in here is, middling, but being able to do things like draw 3 cards plus 4 damage. Obviously, you can only play him if you haven't already got a Gandalf out on the tabletop, but it's nice to have more Gandalf cards. Foehammer and the other card from the deck, Goblin Cleaver, were very good. They allow me to do just straight damage to the trolls. I mean, only 2 damage, but enough damage to the trolls. Bofa was great because he allowed me to find the Dwarven Axe, so a pretty handy addition there. That wasn't necessarily too important. Thrall's Map, great, so you can pick and choose the locations in the staging area to make them active. Can be very nice, especially if you end up finding the particular objective, the necessary elements you need, so the key and the purse. Use this to make that the main focus of your staging area, so that you can then go and do the objective that gets you the treasures. But yeah, the thing that I would imagine this deck would suffer from is obviously lacking in quest. And again, allies, I think, is the main thing, just to soak the damage. It's going to be interesting seeing how, because I kind of want to follow the rules, as it were. It'll be interesting to see how this and Gloin, that deck, continue into the next scenario, which takes us down into Goblin Town. But yeah, so I was able to get my hands, as you can see, on the treasures, so I unlocked that. I'll have to decide exactly which decks to put them in. I think they're going to go into the mix and match them. I think all of them are pretty handy. Basically, I'll have to put two in one and one in the other, I think, because they don't cost any resources to play, obviously, and you can attach them to whatever hero you need, more or less. So it's all about working out the best time to play those and use them in the right context. So yeah, some pretty impressive cards there for us to use in the next couple of scenarios. But yes, so this, if you've played the other troll-based scenario from the base game, this is from at least in my mind, a lot harder than that one. Mainly because of the sack cards and just the way in which you complete the third objective. You need to balance out your questing ability with your ability to soak the troll damage and or avoid the sacks. If you can get all the stuff in the right order, so you can get the troll camp, which we had in here somewhere. Yeah, if you can get the troll camp, that's one of those victory cards, so I need to keep that over there. Yeah, if you can find the troll camp early and use that to your advantage, you can actually really help yourself out. So you can, for example, let the trolls bag up all your dwarves and then move through and unsack them all, which I think is pretty important. But yeah, so it's a tough quest. As I said, I had to kind of double hand it or double fist it. I don't know how it's said. So I had to use both decks for that one. But I'm going to soldier through and use even more dwarves, because what's wrong with that, eh? And go into the next one. I may then also just try out the next one with a single deck. So I'll try it out with this and I'll try it out with this. I have a feeling it's going to be quite fighty, but I'll try it out with both of these separately. And I'll just kind of like fluff it that I found the treasures in there after playing it without it to begin with. But yeah, had good fun with We Must Away Airbreak of Day. As I say, was very hard, but then again, the Lord of the Rings card game has always been pretty tough. But yeah, cool. I did enjoy it. I'll be back to talk about the next quest shortly. Cool, fantastic. Bye.